Okay, we are going to be looking at an important result with limits in this first video. We are going to be trying to show that the limit as x goes to 0 of the cosine of x minus 1 over x is equal to 0. So how will we do this? We can't just plug in a 0 for the x, obviously, or it would be undefined. So what we will do is, we often do when we're finding limits, is we will multiply the numerator and the denominator by the conjugate of the numerator. So when we do that, we get the limit as x goes to 0 of the cosine of x minus 1 over x. Now I'm multiplying the top and the bottom by this conjugate of the numerator, the cosine of x plus 1, over the cosine of x plus 1. Okay, when we multiply the numerators together, we will get the cosine of x times the cosine of x is the cosine squared x. The cosine of x times 1 is the cosine of x. Negative 1 times the cosine of x is negative cosine of x, so those will cancel. Negative 1 times 1 is negative 1. There's our numerator. The denominators, I will just bring them together. X times the quantity cosine of x plus 1. So far, so good. Here's what we have now. We have the limit as x goes to 0 of the cosine squared x minus 1 over x times the quantity cosine of x plus 1. Do you recognize what we have up here on top in this numerator? This may help you to remember that the sine squared x plus the cosine squared x is equal to 1. Do you remember this important identity? And that means if we rearrange this, we'll get negative sine squared x is equal to the cosine squared x minus 1. This is exactly what we have in the numerator over here. Make sure you convince yourself that this is true. So we can rewrite this as the limit as x goes to 0 of a negative sine squared x over x times the quantity cosine of x plus 1. What can we do with the top? Well, I'm going to break the top, negative sine squared x, I'm going to break that into a product of two signs. So this is the limit as x goes to 0 of a negative sine of x times a sine of x. And down below, this is x times the cosine of x, or the quantity cosine of x, plus 1. Okay, very good. Now you may recognize this this part of it right here, right? So this is equal to the limit as x goes to 0 of a negative 1 times the sine of x over x times the sine of x over the cosine of x plus 1. And what do we have here? What does this become in the limit as x goes to 0? I hope that you see that this goes and becomes 1, a previous result. Over here we have, as x goes to 0, the sine of 0 will be 0, so this is 0. The cosine of 0 will be 1, so here we'll have 0, 1 plus 1, which is 2. So what we'll end up with is, what we have is the limit as x goes to 0 of negative 1. This becomes a 1 this part becomes a 0 over 2, and all of this is negative 1 times 0 is 0, which is of course exactly what we wanted to show. We're going to use this important limit later when we're finding the derivative of some important trig functions.